Have you ever noticed how, just when you're trying to shift your life, when you decide to change your energy, align your thoughts, raise your vibration, everything suddenly feels heavier, confusing, even wrong? They told you that manifesting your desires should feel light, joyful, effortless, that the universe responds to bliss, clarity, and confidence. But what if that's not the full truth? What if the discomfort is the response? What if that tight knot in your chest, that sudden wave of doubt, that invisible resistance pulling you backward, isn't a sign that it's not working, but the proof that it is? You see, we've been conditioned to chase ease and avoid resistance. We've been taught that the right path always feels good, always feels aligned. But energy doesn't work like that. Not at first. Because before a new reality is born, the old one has to collapse. And collapse never feels graceful. It shakes, it burns, it unravels. Quantum manifestation isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about holding your frequency steady, even when your body wants to flee, even when your mind screams for the familiar, even when your nervous system is detoxing the vibration you've lived in for decades. The truth is, when you're aligned with a quantum leap, your inner world starts to move faster than your outer world. Your frequency gets ahead of your circumstances, and the space between them, that friction, is what most people call wrong. But that's the birth canal of transformation. It's like tuning an old radio. At first, all you hear is static, noise, friction, confusion. But that's not a failure. It's a sign you're getting close. The frequency is shifting. The station is changing. But your system isn't used to the new signal yet. Joe Dispenza teaches that this phase of dissonance is neurological. Your brain is literally rewiring itself. Bruce Lipton explains that the body clings to familiar chemical signals, even when they hurt, because that's what it knows how to survive. Ancient teachings called it the sacred tremble. The moment the soul touches a new frequency and the ego starts to panic. So yes, it feels wrong, because your old self is dying. And your new one hasn't landed yet, but this is where most people give up. They confuse the recalibration with failure. They think the discomfort means it's not working, when in truth, it's the only sign that it actually is. And that's exactly what we'll explore here. We're going to go deep into this paradox, why quantum manifestation triggers resistance, how your nervous system interprets energetic upgrades as threats, and what you can do when everything in you wants to run back to the known. You'll learn to decode the discomfort, to see it not as a sign to stop, but as a signal to keep going. If this topic stirs something inside you, if you've been walking through a shift and doubting whether it's real, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Don't let this moment pass you by. This journey is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. You've been told that the key to manifestation is alignment, that when your energy is right, everything should flow, smoothly, peacefully, effortlessly. But what if that expectation is the very thing keeping you stuck? Let's be honest, no one warned you that manifesting something truly quantum, something that breaks all your known patterns, would feel like an emotional earthquake. No one told you that rewiring your energy field might first feel like falling apart. But here's the paradox. The moment you shift your intention, the moment you declare a new frequency, your current reality starts to unravel. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the old energy is losing its grip. Let me explain. When you decide to manifest a new version of yourself, your frequency begins to rise. That new vibration starts to communicate with the quantum field, and the quantum field listens not to what you say, but to what you are. But here's the twist. Your body still remembers the past. Your emotions are still addicted to old patterns. Your nervous system still seeks safety in what's familiar, even if that familiar space is painful, limited, or unaligned. That's why, as you begin the process, you may feel resistance, dizziness, emotional fatigue, confusion, doubt. You might start questioning yourself, your worth, even your sanity, not because you're off track, but because your old self is losing control. This is not failure. This is friction. It's the clash between the frequency you're becoming and the frequency you've been. And that friction, that ache, that feeling that something's wrong. It's the energy leaving. It's the emotional blueprint dissolving. But what if the most powerful truth was hiding where you never thought to look? Joe Dispenza often says that your personality creates your personal reality. But when you begin to shift that personality, when you begin to become someone new, your inner world starts to glitch. The identity you wore like armor begins to crack. You've seen it before, you just didn't know how to read it. Think of it like learning a new language. At first it feels foreign, awkward, frustrating, but the discomfort means the brain is actively forming new neural pathways. Without that disorientation, there's no transformation. It's not supposed to feel easy, because ease is the language of repetition, and manifestation is the language of reinvention. Bruce Lipton explains that your subconscious programs, formed mostly before the age of 7, are like loops. They're vibrational, automatic, and deeply rooted. When you introduce a new signal, those loops fight back, not out of evil, but out of design. Here's the process. You declare a shift. You hold the new energy, you observe the discomfort, you don't react, you rewire. You hold the signal until the signal holds you. Let's go even deeper. Because even after knowing all this, most people still get lost. Not because they don't believe, but because they don't understand how to interpret the friction. The moment discomfort arises, they doubt, they retreat, they think something is broken, when in fact something is breaking open. So let me ask you something now. What's the one word that describes what you're feeling right now? Maybe it's trust, maybe it's shift, maybe it's surrender. Whatever it is, write it in the comments. Let it be your mark in the field. That word becomes an anchor. It tells your system, I see what's happening, I choose to stay. Now let's go even further into the mystery. We'll explore ancient teachings and hidden wisdom that show how this wrongness is actually a rite of passage encoded in spiritual traditions, and how modern science is just now catching up. Long before the word manifestation became popular, ancient mystics were already describing transformation as an inner collapse. The Hermetic texts, over 2,000 years old, speak of the sacred terror, a stage where the soul begins to awaken, but the body doesn't yet know how to carry that truth. In many ancestral traditions, this vibrational collapse wasn't seen as failure, but as a rite of passage. The initiate, upon touching a higher frequency, would enter a period of inner disorientation. And that disorientation was holy. It was the signal that something old was dying, something dense was being released. But in our modern culture, we've forgotten how to honor that stage. We've been trained to expect clarity, ease, and instant results. We're told that alignment should feel peaceful, that the universe rewards the joyful, the confident, the unwavering. And when the opposite shows up, when everything feels unstable, foggy, or heavy, we assume we're doing it wrong. But nothing in nature transforms without friction. Seeds break before sprouting. Lava destroys before renewing. Caterpillars dissolve before becoming wings. Nature doesn't fear chaos. It requires it for birth. Let me offer a modern image to ground this truth. Imagine you've spent your entire life listening to one radio station. It's static-filled, low quality, repeating the same stories of fear, scarcity, and self-doubt. One day you decide to change it. You turn the dial toward a higher station, one playing trust, abundance, and expansion. But as you move between frequencies, what do you hear first? Static, interference, noise. That static isn't proof that the new station doesn't exist. It's the transitional space between old and new. You're tuning, you're realigning. You've probably heard of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. In his trance states, he described moments of deep energetic resistance that precede soul breakthroughs. He called them inner tremors and likened them to spiritual contractions, the body preparing to birth a higher version of itself. Cayce didn't see discomfort as error. He saw it as initiation, and science backs this. Neuroplasticity research shows that when we try to rewire the brain, it resists, not because the new pathway is bad, but because the old one is well worn. To the brain, familiarity equals survival. Even if what's familiar is pain, your body is the same. Bruce Lipton explains that the cells of your body become addicted to certain emotional chemicals, especially those linked to stress and fear. When you try to elevate your state, your body will crave those old chemicals, the way an addict craves a fix. It's biological, and that craving for the old, that resistance to the new, doesn't mean you're failing. It means the change is real. Think of a building being renovated. When you walk in and see dust, broken walls, exposed wiring, it looks like chaos, but it's not destruction. It's preparation. Underneath the mess, a new structure is forming. That's your inner world right now. Pause. Breathe. Let this settle into your system. The reason it feels wrong is because your nervous system is still calibrated to your past. The frequency you're becoming is no longer compatible with what once defined you. And that dissonance, that awkward, shaky, almost unbearable friction, that's proof, not that it's not working, but that your old pattern can no longer hold your expanding self. Let's go even deeper. Because these ancient truths and modern findings aren't just intellectual, they're practical. We're going now to explore how your emotions act like a vibrational compass, how your body tries to protect you from your own expansion, and why choosing to stay present in the discomfort may be the most powerful act of manifestation you'll ever make. The most misunderstood part of quantum manifestation is not the theory, it's the embodiment. Most people grasp the idea that thoughts influence reality, that emotion carries frequency, that the observer collapses the wave. But when the shift begins to happen in real time, in the body, in the breath, in the daily choices, everything starts to shake. Because embodiment doesn't happen in the mind, it happens in the nervous system. Let me take you into the science for a moment. When you set a quantum intention, when you claim a reality that doesn't yet exist, you initiate a kind of energetic tension between who you are now and who you're becoming. That space in between is where the old emotions start to surface. Not because you're attracting the wrong thing, but because the subconscious patterns, the ones encoded in your body, are rising to be witnessed, cleared, and repatterned. Joe Dispenza teaches that when we step into the unknown, our brain moves into high beta, a state of heightened alertness. Our systems are scanning for danger, not because there is danger, but because we've exited the familiar. And the familiar to the body means safety, even if it's miserable. That's why the discomfort isn't a problem to fix. It's a signal to decode. It's your system saying, I don't know how to live in this new frequency yet, but I'm learning. Here's how it works. When you hold a new thought, I am abundant, I am safe, I am free, but your body is used to the opposite. You create a gap. That gap creates resistance. That resistance feels like anxiety, fatigue, even fear. But it's not a block. It's an invitation. It's the place where your old chemistry meets your new consciousness. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've always believed that love equals sacrifice, that you must give more than you receive. One day you declare, "I now allow balanced love." But as soon as you do, people pull away. You feel lonely. You doubt yourself. That emotional response isn't the universe punishing you. It's your old program unraveling. It's the parts of you that survived by being over-responsible, starting to dissolve. And this is the point where most people sabotage the shift. They interpret the discomfort as a sign that the new path is wrong. They think, "This doesn't feel safe. I must be off track." But in truth, they're just not used to safety that doesn't include self-abandonment. They're not used to love that doesn't cost them their own needs. Pause for a moment. Feel into that. You're not manifesting wrong. You're manifesting beyond what your system was taught to tolerate. Let's go even deeper, because your emotions, especially the uncomfortable ones, are not blocks. They're messengers. They're vibrational codes. Now we'll unpack how to read them, how to let your body become the guide, not the enemy, and how to practice staying present with your own frequency long enough for the field to rearrange around you. There's a story. Maybe you've lived it. A woman stands on the edge of a decision. She's done everything right. Read the books, spoke the affirmations, held the vision, but instead of peace, she feels pressure. Instead of clarity, confusion. And just when she's about to step forward, everything around her begins to fall apart. Her relationships shift, her job feels meaningless, her body aches, her sleep disappears. And she whispers to herself, "Why does everything feel worse now that I'm trying to change?" But what she doesn't realize, not yet, is that this collapse isn't failure. It's a clearing. The vibration of her old self can't coexist with the frequency of who she's becoming. So the discomfort isn't a signal to stop. It's a sign that she's moved beyond her known timeline. Her energy is expanding. Her reality just hasn't caught up yet. You see, transformation rarely feels the way we want it to. It doesn't come with trumpets and perfect timing. It comes in silence, in the crack of an identity that no longer fits, in the quiet ache of a heart stretching to make space for something unfamiliar. That ache is sacred. Let me give you another image, one you've probably felt in your bones. Think of a home you've outgrown. The walls feel too tight, the light too dim. The layout, once comforting, now feels limiting. And then the day comes when you leave. It should feel like freedom. But instead you feel grief, not because you're wrong to leave, but because your nervous system is mourning the death of what once held you, even if it held you small. That's what quantum manifestation feels like. You say yes to expansion, and then you grieve the self you used to be, not because you want to stay, but because part of you doesn't know who you'll be without the pain. Pause for a moment. Let yourself be with that. Because if you've come this far into the video, you're not casually curious, you're inside the shift, and that's something to honor. Thank you for walking with me to this point. If this story, or something like it, has lived in your body, take a moment to share it in the comments. Your experience may be the mirror someone else needs right now. And if this message resonates, subscribe to the channel and become part of this community. You don't have to figure this out alone. We're walking this path together. Now let's keep moving. Just now, we'll guide you through a practical shift, a process to hold yourself steady when the emotions feel unbearable, when your energy feels uncertain, and when everything in you wants to turn back. Because the field is listening, and your presence is your most powerful broadcast. Now that you understand the friction, it's time to transmute it. Because knowing isn't enough. Insight without embodiment is just noise. What creates transformation is presence, not the kind of presence that's perfect or polished, but the kind that sits with the discomfort and says, "I'm still here." So let's practice. Find a comfortable position, let your shoulders drop, let your jaw unclench. If it feels safe, close your eyes. Take a slow breath in through your nose. 4 seconds. Hold it gently at the top. 4 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth. 6 seconds. Let it all go. Let's do it again. Inhale, hold, exhale. Now bring to mind the one area in your life where you've been trying to shift, but it feels like nothing is changing. The one place where you're holding the vision, but the results just aren't showing up yet. Feel the energy of that space. Don't fight it. Don't fix it. Just witness it. Pause now, breathe, and if you choose, imagine that the discomfort you feel is not resistance, but recalibration. Imagine that your field is updating. Imagine that the static is your old identity losing signal. Now place your awareness in your chest. Imagine a golden thread of light connecting your heart to that desired reality. Not pulling, just aligning. Say silently or aloud, I trust what I can't yet see. I honor what feels unclear. My energy is reorganizing itself for the life I've already chosen. Say it again, slower. Let it echo. Let it imprint. This is not a trick. It's a remembering. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to frequency, and the most potent frequency is presence without resistance. Let that settle. You don't need to push, you need to stay. Long enough for the frequency to become familiar, long enough for your system to stop fighting the upgrade, long enough for the field to reflect back what you've already claimed. Let's go even deeper, and now we'll bring it all together. We'll integrate this experience, anchor the shift, and remind you of the truth your soul already knows, that the reality you're calling in is already on its way. So here you are. You've stayed through each layer, through the friction, the science, the ancient echoes, the silent shaking of becoming, and maybe now something inside you feels a little quieter. Not because every answer has arrived, but because you've remembered something deeper. That feeling wrong doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're entering a new field, one your old identity never learned how to navigate. It's not dysfunction, it's evolution. This journey is not supposed to feel graceful. Real transformation is raw. It's not the curated version we see in spiritual memes. It's the version where you're lying awake at night, heart racing, wondering why you ever started this process in the first place. It's the version where everything familiar begins to dissolve, not because the universe is punishing you, but because your frequency has outgrown the life you used to fit inside. And yes, it's terrifying, because you're not just manifesting a new outcome. You're letting go of a self that was built for survival, not alignment. You're saying goodbye to ways of being that protected you, even if they kept you small. And your nervous system, your subconscious, your very cells, they'll fight to keep things as they were. But your energy already knows. That's why it hurts to go back. That's why the old comforts feel hollow now. That's the proof. You don't have to rush to fix it. You don't have to force your way forward. All you need is to stay. Stay with the presence of what's shifting. Stay through the awkward, heavy, confusing in-between. Because the in-between is sacred. It's where your old frequency dissolves and your new reality begins to crystallize. It's where the invisible starts to rearrange the visible, and the field is always listening. Thank you. Truly. Thank you for showing up, for bringing your energy, your openness, your presence, for walking through this together. This video wasn't just information, it was transmission, a remembering, and if it moved something inside you, let it echo. Leave a comment and share what resonated. Let others see that they're not alone in this. Let us know, did something shift in you? Did a moment, a phrase, a silence open something real? Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read. And if you haven't yet, Subscribe to the channel, not just to watch more videos, but to become part of this field we're creating together. A space for truth, transformation, and soul-level remembering. And if this message landed for you, watch the next video we've linked here. It goes even deeper into the mystery, the mechanics, and the miracle of your own becoming, because your energy is a language, and the universe is always listening.